guess it is YouTube. YouTube. Oh, you got both. Yep.
Hopefully the internet is here now.
There's nowhere to go. Oh, no, you make a choice. Now it's up to you to bow out gracefully. Though you hold the key, but baby, whenever you call me, I'll be there. Whenever you want me, I'll be there. Whenever you need me, I'll be there. I'll be around. I knew just what to say. Now I found out today that all the words had slipped away. But I know there's always a chance. A tiny spark will be made. And sparks turn into flames. And love can burn once again. But I know you know, whenever you call me, I'll be there. Whenever you want me, I'll be there. Whenever you need me, I'll be there. I'll be around. Yeah. Whenever you call me, I'll be there. Whenever you want me, I'll be there. Even if I have to walk, I'll be there. I'll be around. Just call me on my phone. I'll be there. I'll never leave you alone. I'll be there. Just call on the name. I know you know. I'll be around. I'll be standing and walking. I'll be there. I'll be around. I'll be there. I'll be calm.
Okay. Shall we start? Okay. Hello, everyone. I want to start by thanking the Georgia Tech Presidential Search Committee. I'm Don Waters, Chairman of the Board of Regents. They did an outstanding job conducting an exhaustive search and finding a world caliber president for one of the nation's top public research universities, the Georgia Institute of Technology. We will hear from Dr. Cabrera in a moment, but the Board of Regents is very excited for the impact we believe he will have on the future of this great institution and our state. Tech already plays a vital role for the Georgia economy, and we expect that impact to grow through cutting-edge research, top-class programs, innovative support for startups, and the like. This naturally includes Tech Square, which has helped lure the world headquarters of several corporations to Atlanta, in part because of access to talent and technologies being developed by Georgia Tech. Chancellor Wrigley will speak in a few moments, but on behalf of the entire Board of Regents, I would like to welcome Dr. Cabrera, his wife, Dr. Cabrera, their two children, son Alex and daughter Amelia, and thank you for joining our family as part of the University System of Georgia, but more appropriately, Georgia Tech. Now I'll hand it over to our Chancellor.
Thank you, Chairman Waters, and good afternoon, and thank you all for being here on a what we think is a quiet Friday afternoon in June. But we have some great news to announce today, and I appreciate you being here. I appreciate being a part of the opportunity to welcome Dr. Cabrera and his wife Beth, and as Chairman Waters mentioned, Alex and Amelia, their kids. Leading Georgia Tech is a complex job. It's a complex place. The budget approaches $2 billion. They do groundbreaking research and, of course, world-class instruction. Dr. Cabrera comes to us from George Mason University, a research university and the largest public university in the state of Virginia. He has a strong record of improving student outcomes, increasing enrollment, improving development, strengthening research, and establishing strong stakeholder partnerships. During his tenure as president, George Mason received a top credit rating upgrade, and the donations to the institution doubled. And he completed a $500 million campaign last December with a total raised of $690 million. So greatly exceeded their target. Dr. Cabrera, as you know, is a Georgia Tech alumnus with extensive experience in higher education and public service. He has deep ties to Georgia Tech. He serves on many boards in the Virginia area, including the board of the National Geographic Society, the Federal Reserve Bank of Richmond. He's also a former Fulbright scholar and has been very involved in the Fulbright program, which will fit in well here at Tech with his many international ties. He's also sat on the Georgia Tech Advisory Board and chaired that board in 2011. Georgia Tech is already his family. Dr. Cabrera earned both his master's and PhD in cognitive psychology here. He met his wife, Beth, here. She also is an alum and a scholar in her own right. Their son, Alex, is a Georgia Tech grad. Their daughter, Amelia, is at Harvard as an undergrad. We're very excited to welcome Dr. Cabrera and his wife and his family to Atlanta, to the university system, and to Georgia Tech. We expect great things and expect him to lead this institution to new heights. So please welcome Dr. Ángel Cabrera.
Thank you, sir. Chairman.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much, Chairman Waters and Chancellor Wrigley, for those very kind words. Beth and I are absolutely thrilled to be back at Georgia Tech. It's an honor and a privilege to be named as Georgia Tech's 12th president. And it's an honor for two reasons. First and foremost, because of very personal reasons that you can guess. And but second, also for what Georgia Tech means increasingly to this nation and to the world. As you may know, I landed here 28 years ago, straight from Spain, a young engineer with 2 suitcases, lots of dreams, a little bit of apprehension. And I emerged 4 years later from Skiles Building, just around the corner here, a changed person, much more. My thinking had been transformed. I was much more confident. I had a few publications to show. I had 2 degrees also to show from this great institution. And most importantly, I had met my wife, Beth, who was the cutest and smartest woman in my class. So that was the biggest accomplishment of them all. Not in my wildest dreams when I landed here, I thought that one day I would be asked to serve as the school's president. And I guess in the words of that now famous Nick Selby student convocation speech, we are Georgia Tech, we can do that. So back to my story. After I arrived here, I spent 4 years really understanding and valuing what a great American university has to offer. I was one of the thousands of students from around the world who dream of coming to one of the great American universities. And I admired how universities like this attract talent from around the world and empower them to do great things. My career led me to business and then eventually back to higher education. Beth also worked in higher education. She decided we decided together to move to Spain and start our family in my hometown of Madrid. She went from not speaking a word of Spanish to becoming the first American to earn tenure at Carlos III University, which is one of the best universities in the country. As you have heard, we raised 2 kids. Emilia, who's feeling a little bit left out these days because she says she's not being mentioned enough in the press releases. I said, honey, you're the black sheep of the family. You're the only one who did not get a Georgia Tech degree. She's doing fine at Harvard. We love her equally, but maybe there's always grad school. Maybe we can convince her to come back. But Alex did come to Georgia Tech. He came very proudly as a Stamps Presidential Scholar. He graduated with the Love Family Award. He's had so many opportunities here. It allowed us to reconnect with the Institute and to really see how the Institute helps transform the lives of these young people. It's been just an absolutely terrific experience for him. He's now in Malaysia, by the way, assuming that we can bring him back as he's traveling with some of his great Georgia Tech friends. He will start his PhD later this year at Carnegie Mellon. So as you can see, Georgia Tech has shaped my life in personal ways and of course in professional ways. I have everything I have achieved, it can be traced back to my experiences here. In some ways, I said, I think that Georgia Tech prepared me to be George Mason's president, and in some ways George Mason is now returning the favor, I guess, by preparing me to return back. But I'm very excited to be back again, not just for those personal reasons, but also for what Georgia Tech means for the world. We, and when I say we, is not just the local we and even our nation, but humankind. We face challenges that we have never faced before. We are about to reach 8 billion people very soon, and we're on our way to becoming 11 or 12 billion people on this earth. We need to figure out how we're going to feed everybody and provide economic opportunity and take care of disease and take care of many environmental challenges and many other issues that we're facing. And it is in places like Georgia Tech where those decisions and those solutions are going to come from. And it's not just new technologies, which of course are going to be at the heart of everything, but it's going to be also new ideas for better policy, new businesses, new ways of tackling the super complex challenges. It doesn't escape me. In fact, I consider it to be a national model of the role that Georgia Tech has played in transforming Atlanta, in turning Atlanta into a thriving hub of innovation, a place where young people from around the nation and the world want to come and live and work and find opportunity. And if you look around the world, all those hubs that attract people are rooted and anchored by great universities and great higher education. This is an example what has happened in Tech Square and in the broader city of Atlanta is really an example that people outside of this place are paying great attention to. Georgia Tech is also one of the biggest connectors of the state of Georgia with the rest of the world. We're blessed with having one of the busiest, perhaps the busiest airport in the world. But connections are not just about air flights, which is absolutely essential. It's also about people, about ideas, about how universities can really convene people. So this is really an exciting city, an exciting university. It is really one of the best technological universities right now in the world. I take this job very, very, very seriously. I know the responsibility that we have because of all those achievements to lead the way in higher education and lead the way in what happens in the state and in the city. I want to thank all the wonderful colleagues that we will leave behind at George Mason University. It's been 7 wonderful years. George Mason is an extraordinary story in American higher ed, a school that in a very short time has joined the ranks of the top research universities in the country, that continues to deliver most of the growth in enrollment in Virginia, and really a place where that has helped us grow and understand the true value of higher education. So we'll miss him very, very much. I also want to say I can't wait to get to know the faculty, the staff of the Institute better. I've gotten to follow what happens here through my membership on the Georgia Tech Advisory Board. But I know the story is much more profound, and I can't wait to really get to know everybody much better. I want to spend time with the students too. The experience of my own son gives me a very interesting window into what is in the minds of our students, but I need to understand that much better. So it's going to be a very interesting and busy next 2 or 3 months in trying to do as much homework as we can while we manage the logistics of the transition. And I'll close by recognizing the two predecessors, the two individuals that that will succeed in this office. Wayne Clough, who's been a dear friend and really an advisor to me in many ways, and a man who left a tremendous mark here, and of course our current president, Bud Peterson, for all the work that he has done. I'd say he's one of the first people who encouraged me to consider this position, and I really appreciate all the support he's provided me. So as I guess to paraphrase again the famous Selby speech, the freshman convocation speech, the "we can do that" speech, I do stand on the shoulders of giants, and I intend to see and reach further because of that. We'll take some time to say our goodbyes at Mason. We'll take some rest and plan the transition, and we will be back in early September, ready to go. Thank you all, and go Jackets.
Dr. Cabrera,
Yes, ma'am.
One thing that this institution has been dealing with recently is ethics, and I wonder how you plan to approach that coming into your administration.
Yeah, it's we are a public university, and as a public university, we need to earn and maintain the trust of the people. When that trust sometimes is called into question, we have to do our homework. So I'm beginning to try to understand the issues. I will be doing a lot of homework between now and September, and can say I've always been working very, very hard and around accountability, around transparency, and always making sure that as a public institution, we don't lose the trust. And when that is questioned, we have to do our homework. We have to work hard, and you have my commitment that will happen as soon as I step foot on this campus in September.
Mental health has been a challenge here on this campus.
Say that again. Mental health. Yep.
Yes, and I was wondering if you had any additional ideas or anything.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. The issue of student mental health is a national issue. Is not just. I know that it has had, painful implications in institutions across the country, including at Georgia Tech. We made it a top priority of my administration at George Mason to work on the notion of well-being. One of our strategic goals is to be an example of a well-being university, a university that is not just working on the academic side of the students, but is helping students develop life habits that allow them to really carry healthier lives. I'm very, very much aware of that dynamic, and that will absolutely needs to continue to be a top priority for the administration at TAC.
When you decided to take this job, or when you were thinking about it, what were some parts of the institution that you want to progress, some goals that you have for Georgia Tech?
Georgia Tech is on a tremendous path right now. I mean, in terms of the growth of the research activity and the research portfolio of the institute, the impact that Georgia Tech is having on really feeding the entrepreneurial fabric of the city, of becoming one of the top sources of talent. It's been really impressive also how to see Georgia Tech now embrace some of the new forms of delivery of education. The new online master's in computer science has been really a breakthrough program. No one had done anything like that in the world before. Right now, the biggest online program in computer science, master's program in computer science in the world is Georgia Tech's, which has become really the biggest master. So I think those are some lines that where Georgia Tech has excelled and where Georgia Tech needs to continue to excel. When I start in September, I'm sure we'll have a review of the strategic plan and probably will assess what those main priorities will be. But I think that gives you a sense of the areas where Georgia Tech has done a lot of work and will continue to.
You had mentioned your history as well as your son
Mhm.
having graduated from here as well. I imagine he's probably thinking he could be a top advisor to you, being since he was the one who has been here most recently. What's your family saying about you coming here to this university?
So not only he thinks he can be a good advisor, he's already acting the advisor. I have him on the phone, even from he's been traveling to again with Georgia Tech friends to India and Cambodia and Vietnam and Malaysia, and God knows where he's going to be going next. And he somehow finds the way to stay in touch. So yes, I have plenty of advice from him, which is very much appreciated. He's very excited. And when we started this process, we made sure to ask him, "Are you okay with this? This is going to bring a lot of attention to us in your alma mater." And he says he thought this was I think this is where his words, the coolest thing that could happen. So I was delighted to have his support.
Dr. Beth Cabrera, how does this feel for you?
It feels very exciting. Yeah, it really does feel like coming home. So we're very excited. We again have such wonderful history with Georgia Tech and happy memories from being here, and the last few years becoming re-engaged with our son here and seeing even how Atlanta has changed and grown, and it's just very exciting kind of come full circle and come back here. So yeah, just happiness.
Any initial ideas or things that you have in mind to implement once you get here?
I need some time. The next few months are going to be a little bit crazy. So I will be. I need to close some business, as I said at back at George Mason. I'll be doing a lot of night reading and homework. I know I'll be connecting with folks here. So I will be doing. We're going to be doing some traveling as well. We're going to be visiting our kids and hopefully having some time to disconnect and to think differently. So as I said, I don't come with the answers. The answers have to emerge from the interaction between the new president and the people who've been here before. So we'll identify what those priorities are in due course.
Right, anything else? Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Much appreciated. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Don.
Good job. Thank you, Beth. So good.
It's